Yes, my friends, we are counting down the hours until this Sunday's matchup, and the Baltimore Ravens seem ready. Get ready, because I have some news about Lamar Jackson that will make your hair stand on end. Before we go any further, I want to hear from you. Do you believe the Baltimore Ravens will beat the Commanders in this Sunday's game? If so, hit that like button hard. Man, I really believe our team is capable of winning. If possible, write something like this: Go Ravens, we will win. You've probably heard someone compare Lamar to another quarterback, but the argument always seems to center around one thing in particular: passing ability. It seems like whenever there is a conversation about Lamar, especially when he's being compared to another player, the discussion always revolves around whether or not he's a better passer. Now let's back up for a second. Lamar Jackson has been in the league since 2018, taking over as the Ravens' starting quarterback after Joe Flacco was fired. Since then, we haven't looked back. Lamar is in his 7th season now, and in that time, he has accomplished a lot. He has won MVP twice, and if you remember, one of those MVP wins was unanimous. All the votes went to him. The second time, he lost a vote because someone gave it to Josh Allen, but Lamar still won 49 of the 50 votes. Let's not forget how Lamar broke several records, led the league in touchdown passes, and had some of the best games, like when he threw for 5 touchdowns, especially against the Miami Dolphins. He has proven time and time again that he is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So why do these lazy takes keep coming up? Recently, Ryan Clark made a comparison between Lamar Jackson and Jaden Daniels, a quarterback with only 5 games under his belt. Clark said that Daniels is already a better passer than Lamar Jackson. Now, let's be real for a moment. Why is this even a conversation? Lamar has been in the league for 7 years. He's been consistently great, not just as a passer, but as a complete quarterback. But here we are still having these weird conversations about whether someone is a better passer than Lamar. It's almost like people are trying to find something to nitpick. Think about it. When Josh Allen and Joe Burrow face off, no one is out there saying, "Oh, is Allen a better passer than Burrow?" That's not the narrative. But with Lamar, it always comes back to this idea of him being judged solely on his passing. And the crazy part is that Lamar can throw the ball. We've seen it. His performance against the Bengals last week reminded everyone of that. He's been throwing the ball all over the field, hitting his receivers in stride and making defenses pay for underestimating his arm. Yet, some people act like they're seeing this for the first time. It's frustrating because Lamar has shown for years that he's more than capable of throwing deep, making precise throws, and delivering in big moments. Ryan Clark's comments are just the latest example of how people will tear down Lamar to build up someone else. And what's even wilder is that Clark usually defends Lamar. He's not always critical, so it was a bit shocking to hear him make that comparison. But as Lamar fans, we know these takes aren't new. This kind of criticism has been around since his contract negotiations, where people were quick to doubt him, despite all he's done for this team. We have to stop acting like Lamar has something left to prove when it comes to passing. He's done more than enough to silence the critics. But let's be clear here. I'm not saying Lamar shouldn't be criticized when he makes mistakes. If he has a bad game, we can call that out. But what's annoying is that the same tired argument keeps coming back over and over again. People overlook his accomplishments, his leadership, and the fact that he's been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL for years now. It's like Lamar is the benchmark for every up-and-coming quarterback, and the first thing they do is compare passing stats. On a related note, let's touch on the injury report for this week. Unfortunately, Malik Harrison won't be playing. He's been struggling, but honestly, I think some of the blame falls on the coaches. They've been putting him in bad situations, like leaving him out in pass coverage when that's not his strength. Hopefully, when he comes back, they'll adjust how they use him. Also, Arthur Mollett is still out with a hamstring injury. The team has until next week to activate him or he's done for the season, so keep an eye on that situation. Marlon Humphrey, though, might be ready to play. He's listed as questionable, but even seeing him practice this week was a great sign. If he doesn't go, I'm confident we'll see him back soon.
Now, as we wrap up, I want to hear from you. What do you think about these constant comparisons that keep popping up around Lamar Jackson? Do you think people will ever move past the passing critique? Or is this just something we'll have to live with? And how do you feel about the injury situation going into this weekend's game? Let me know in the comments. We're gearing up for an intense Week 6 showdown at home. The Baltimore Ravens are taking on their regional rivals, the Washington Commanders, in what's being called the Beltway Battle. Coming off a thrilling overtime win against the Cincinnati Bengals, the Ravens are riding high and looking to push their winning streak even further. The The stakes are high too. A win not only puts them 2 games over 500 for the first time this season, but it could also solidify their hold on first place in the division, even if the Pittsburgh Steelers manage to win against the Las Vegas Raiders later that night. Now, let's talk keys to victory, because the Ravens are in for a challenge against a Washington team led by a serious contender for Offensive Rookie of the Year, quarterback Jaden Daniels. First, the Ravens need to stick to what's been working, that heavy personnel on offense. We've seen time and again that when they line up with multiple tight ends and utilize fullback Patrick Ricard, who's a 4-time Pro Bowler, this team dominates. Baltimore's rushing attack leads the league, racking up 1,056 yards so far, averaging a whopping 211.2 per game and 6.1 yards per carry. That's some serious ground game, and using it against a Washington defense that's allowing 5 yards per rush seems like a recipe for success. You know, Ricard and our running backs are licking their chops after watching how Washington struggled against the Buffalo Bills a couple of weeks ago when they gave up 271 rushing yards. This Ravens team could easily do the same. On the other side, the Ravens need to shore up their secondary after allowing nearly 400 passing yards to Cincinnati last week. Washington's passing attack, led by Daniels, is dangerous. He's got 2 vertical threats in Terry McLaurin and Diami Brown, both averaging over 13 yards per reception, and they've already connected for several deep touchdowns. Daniels is especially accurate on throws over 20 yards, so our defense has to avoid getting torched on deep plays. After last week's defensive performance, it's clear that tightening up the coverage will be crucial. Another critical area will be the red zone. The Commanders boast the league's highest scoring offense at 31 points per game, so if this turns into a shootout, the Ravens need to finish their drives with touchdowns. Settling for field goals just won't cut it. Fortunately, Baltimore has been excellent in the red zone, ranking second in points per game and converting 75% of their red zone trips into touchdowns. John Harbaugh has mentioned how running the ball is key in the red zone, and we know our team thrives in those tight spaces. If we keep executing like that, the Ravens will be in good shape to outscore Washington, even in a high-scoring affair. Defensively, if we can make the Commanders one-dimensional by shutting down their run game, that's going to be huge. Baltimore's run defense has been stingy, allowing only 60.4 yards per game, the lowest in the league. Washington's run game, led by Brian Robinson and veteran Austin Eckler, has been a big part of their success. But if Robinson misses the game due to his knee injury, it could make things even tougher for them. Finally, confusing Daniels with different defensive looks will be key. He's a rookie, and while he's been impressive, this Ravens defense will be the toughest he's faced yet. Let's go Ravens!